Good afternoon, fair sir, Mr. Curran, and how was your holiday?
Happy holidays, boys. It was terrific. Let's get after it.
Okay, so
We
how
love
should
to
we
hear
feel
that.
about the Patriots winning on Christmas Eve?
You know, Andrew, conflicted. I mean, to what end does that win result in? I mean, it's as I sit here and start to get ready to do a quick glance tonight, it's a story of redemption. But redemption from what? Does Chad Ryland's 56-yard field goal wipe the slate clean from a disappointing rookie season? Certainly helps to change the conversation and gives him confidence, but was Devontae Parker's performance of 4 catches in high-leverage situations enough to have folks move on from the fact that he's got 31 for the year and the Patriots maybe don't need to look for a legitimate number one wide receiver? You know, is your 4th win of the year on Christmas Eve enough to change the conversation, or was it just indicative of, hey, this is a really good defense, and even when they're missing players, it's so well coached and schemed that it's tough to move on. And this offense with Bailey Zappe and a well-constructed game plan by Bill O'Brien can actually, you know, do a nice job. We have some building blocks, but we do have a lot more work to do. So that's how I felt.
You know, it's funny, Tom, because I, like many, had started to steer into all right, it's just in the best interest of the football team to kind of lose out and secure a top 3 pick, depending on whether you want to trade it, if you're going to go with a receiver, a quarterback, a tackle, an equity, who knows. But then, like many, like do you say, to what avail and what end, I found myself getting pulled back into the excitement of the game. Bailey Zappe balling out, the defense, Christian Barmore, who deserves to be signed to insert, you know, giant oversized novelty check of American dollars kind of contract here, and the Ryland redemption story as well. And it just makes you think that, like, you know, save, you know, playing for Andrew Luck and putting in Curtis Painter, any Bill Belichick team and somebody also with Bailey Zappe's moxie is never going to play to lose. So we best just embrace the fact that they're going to try 2 more times and then it's going to be a bananas offseason.
Yeah, and that's, to me, is the straw man to beat all other straw mans completely into the ground. The number of people, whether it be Zoe or Andrew Callahan or you saying, no, but whoever thought that Bill Belichick was going to try to lose games or tank? Whoever thought that the team was going to lie down with David Andrews or anybody else? Individual players might have peekaboo effort on certain plays, but I don't think like an Anthony Jennings or a Christian Barmore or a Jelani Tavai or a Jawan Bentley or a David Andrews or an Ezekiel Elliott is going to give peekaboo effort. So this notion that, hey, anybody who thought the Patriots were going to be tanking, nobody thought that. Nobody ever thought that. The question, the merit of trying to lose was discussed. The wisdom of sitting there at 6 instead of 2 was discussed. But I just, no one ever thought they were going to literally tank. The benefits of them tanking, the benefits of them losing were discussed. But when Mac Jones came out for Bailey Zappe to play, that's because they couldn't watch the guy anymore. He was preventing them from having a chance to win games. They weren't trying to save anything. So I think that if you really like the team, and everybody can do it the way they want, and you like football, and you've been covering the team or following the team for a long time, you're in the, you know, let the cards fall where they may. You're going to hate it in April when it's 8:23 and the Patriots should be on the clock. And you have all the prospects right in front of you, and you know you have to wait until 9:10, and a lot of things are going to happen between then, and a lot of players are going to go off the board, or the best players are going to go off the board. But you can't expect them to lose. You just can't.
Tom, what is your, I guess, evolving opinion of Bailey Zappe? Because, you know, he had a little different script this week. He wasn't great in the first half. Then he had a little bit of a flurry in the third quarter. Then he made the throws he needed to make for the game-winning field goal. But he still hasn't put together, you know, a full 60 minutes of football. I mean, they went 3 and out, 6 times, including in the fourth quarter when the other team was coming back. So, like, how are we feeling about Bailey Zappe these days?
I would give Bailey Zappe the same defenses I always gave Mac Jones. If Mac Jones went out there with those that array of offensive skill position players, I'd say, of course, he went 3-0. He's got nobody in front of him. He's got no Cole Strange. So to me, my feeling on Bailey Zappe is everything that's been put in front of him, he's been able to finish his plate and do a nice job with. Who does he think he is? That's a question. Who do you think you are? Do you think you're the next Brock Purdy, Kirk Cousins, or do you realize you're probably more like Gardner Minshew? Or are you Tommy DeVito and Josh Dobbs?
Oof.
What are you? Who are you? He doesn't have, at 24 or 25, whatever the hell he is now, he doesn't have to limit himself, but the Patriots have to decide, is this a guy who solidifies himself as the backup number 2, no matter what we do, whether we get a free agent veteran like a Baker Mayfield, for lack of a better example. I know he's probably not coming, but go Mayfield and Zappe. Do we look at Zappe as a guy who can hold the spot warm if we draft Jaden Daniels or Drake May? Or do we look at Zappe as a guy who's still probably someone that we want to replace? If he was ever your starting quarterback, you would always be looking to replace him. That, to me, is my bottom line. But Andy, when you say developing opinion, after watching him in preseason and training camp, he was unusable and deserved to be released. Whatever he did in the practices that led to Malik Cunningham leapfrogging him for the Raiders game when the Patriots needed a spark, it couldn't have been good. So you give him an immense amount of credit for persevering and getting to the point where he's here.
Yeah, who knows what was said in that phone conversation between he and Kurt Warner, what kind of work he's put in or what's changed, but there's no denying that this is a different Bailey Zappe, maybe the best version of Bailey Zappe we've seen. And while we could lament and play the game, Tom, of how many more wins do you think they'd have if they put Bailey Zappe in earlier, that's going to get us absolutely nowhere, no how, no time soon. So best not to lament and lay back on that one and just keep charging forward. It's Tommy Curran from NBC Sports Boston, a frequent guest here at WEEI, joining Fitzy and Hart on the Harbor One Hotline. Tommy, I wanted to see if I could get a quick reaction to a tweet earlier from a friend of yours, friend of the show, friend of everyone in Patriots Nation, Mike Giardi, where he linked up to his piece in the Boston Sports Journal saying, speaking of Belichick, he's expressed doubt about his future in New England to the staff at various points over the past few weeks. To the best of my knowledge, and is reported by NFL Network, he has yet to sit down with ownership. And editorial note, this is where Mike finishes off with a big one. If he won't survive, I think this is a massive misstep by RKK and JKK. What do you think about that one?
I don't know what that means, if he won't survive. Oh, to not sit down and talk to him.
If he gets fired.
I don't know what that means. So I have no idea what Mike's driving at in the final portion of his tweet. But I'd say this, if you haven't met and the number of decisions that need to be made, it's just the quarterback position alone. What are you doing with Mac Jones? What are you doing with Bailey Zappe? What are you doing in terms of free agency? Are we going to be looking to have a free agent veteran come in? What do you think we're going to do at quarterback? How does that, in the draft, how does that stack up? That's just quarterback. Never mind the Hunter Henry and Mike Onwenu and all the other expiring contracts. There are so many conversations to be had about the roster that are imminent that the Crafts need to have an understanding of exactly how they're going to do it. And the fact that they're smarter than we are and haven't had conversations about what they plan to do seems to be indicative of the fact that they've kind of decided what they're going to do.
And that is?
Think about it for a second. Mm-hmm. If you're not going to sit down and have a conversation and allow, in this run-up to the end of the season, Bill to make a case so that on January 7th or 8th, you're going to say, okay, we're going to march it back. If you're not going to do that, then that would lead me to believe that if smart people understand the landscape of the NFL's off-season schedule, then you're not going to be convinced. What do you think of that, Andrew?
I think it's very Belichickian, actually, over the years. Not addressing things until the time comes to actually address them. You know, I told Fitzy, I've had crossed paths with assistant coaches that the season end, their contract had expired, and they're like, I don't know if I'm coming back. He hasn't said one way or the other whether I'm gone or not coming back. And I think that is a very Belichickian management style, to just play it out and deal with the deadline and the day and the decision when it comes. But that may or may not be what the Crafts are doing. I wanted to that's a negative storyline, right? Belichick in the end, whatever, losing, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
Let's end on a positive one from me. Fitzy mentioned it earlier. Christian Barmore, bit of a beast, bit unblockable if you're a Denver Bronco the other night. Where is the ceiling on him? Like I've always said he reminds me physically of Richard Seymour. Not necessarily that he was producing like Richard Seymour, but physically just the build and the athleticism with the size. Where do you see this going with Christian Barmore, and are you hopeful that he will be a long-term building block for the Patriots?
I think anybody who likes the Patriots has to look at the best player on their roster and hope that he sticks around, because that's what he is. Phil and I did a little poll last week, who are the 20 best Patriots. Whatever order we both ended up with, it was Barmore, Gonzalez, Judon. Then I think we had Trent Brown, Hunter Henry, Mike Onwenu in that mix. Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, it's not exactly a murderer's row, but Christian Barmore can play for any team, as can Gonzalez. So you don't want your best player to leave. So I would hope that they're able to figure something out, and I would hope that – but he's going to command a lot of money because he is a game wrecker, which is awesome that they have someone who legitimately fits that bill.
Tommy, it's been great chatting with you. I'm glad you had a good Christmas as well. The narrative has changed once again on the season, and while it's getting a little more interesting, we do only have 2 games to go. It's a shame, but like you said, it is what it is, and there's a lot still to unpack, so we'll look forward to hearing from you on Quick Slants later tonight, of course, on NBC Sports Boston, reading you up and hearing you here on the station as well. Get thee a little rest and maybe a hot toddy for your television tonight, and have a great rest of the week. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, guys. Take care. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
You as well.